Got no use for no dirty postcards, Vic. Get off my back, huh?
It's a great sack, but we're pretty afterwards. You know that?
Gabrielle Union said it all. I am so proud of that girl. She just laid it out and said it all. I can't add to that.
What really happened to Richard Roundtree, the star known as the original Shaft? It's been a year since his death, and now shocking rumors are being confirmed by his family.
Maybe 4 or 5 days later, he calls me up and says, "Richard, I need you to come in. We need to talk." And I went in, and he's telling me that you have cancer.
Did he face struggles that no one knew about? What kind of challenges did he deal with behind the scenes? Let's uncover the truth about these heartbreaking claims and remember the legacy of this legendary actor.
Yeah, he was with Ford Modeling Agency. And he would periodically come in and he'd say, "You ought to be a model." And being the mercenary that I was at that point, I said, "How much does it pay?"
When you think of Richard Roundtree, you probably imagine him as the tough and fearless private detective John Shaft from the 1970s. Born on July 9th, 1942 in New Rochelle, New York. His parents, John Roundtree and Kathryn Watkins, raised him in New Rochelle, where he graduated from high school in 1961. After high school, he attended Southern Illinois University, but left in 1963 to chase his dream of acting.
I found out that Ebony Magazine was doing hiring people for the Ebony Fashion Show. And I auditioned, and I got the job.
Richard didn't start in movies right away. He began his career as a model in 1963, working for the Ebony Fashion Fair.
I lied. I said, "Have you done runway modeling?" "Oh, of course."
He got noticed by Eunice W. Johnson, who gave him opportunities to model for products like Duke Hair Grease and Salem Cigarettes.
That was singularly the largest, most fun experience in my early career.
Modeling opened doors for him, and by 1967, he joined the Negro Ensemble Company, a theater group. His first big stage role was playing boxer Jack Johnson in The Great White Hope, which got him noticed as an actor. Roundtree's first movie role came in 1970 with a small part in What Do You Say to a Naked Lady? But his real breakthrough was in 1971 when he played private detective John Shaft in the movie Shaft. This role made him a star and a big name in action movies. Shaft was so popular that it led to sequels, making Richard Roundtree a Hollywood icon.
I mean, I can no longer walk around Central Park or walk down 42nd Street like I used to. It's just a whole different ballgame now. Now I'm relegated to spending my weekends in Victorville, California, in the desert riding horses just to get away from it.
John Shaft wasn't just another action hero. He was a groundbreaking character in black cinema, loved and debated for what he stood for. Shaft was shown as a ladies' man, described in the famous theme song as a machine to all the chicks. While some viewers thought this was empowering, others felt it leaned into stereotypes about black men being overly sexual. Critics said it might have been harmful to show black masculinity this way because it could reinforce negative ideas that already existed about black men.
Got no use for no dirty postcards, Vic. Get off my back, huh?
At the same time, many saw Shaft as a necessary change. Hollywood was filled with white heroes, and Shaft was a direct challenge to that. He was a black man who wasn't afraid of anyone. He walked through the streets of 1970s New York with his leather jacket, turtleneck, and mustache, looking determined and in control. He wasn't just tough, he cared about people in need and stood up for what was right. Actress Viola Davis said it best when she called John Shaft a symbol of strength, authority, and mystery. She praised how Roundtree made black manhood powerful on screen during a time when it was rarely shown. His character brought dignity and pride to the portrayal of black men in movies. Before Shaft, actors like Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte made strides in breaking barriers. But due to the restrictions of their time, they couldn't show their characters being openly sexual or rebellious. Shaft was different. He wasn't just fighting bad guys. He had agency over his desires, anger, and decisions, and he refused to be anyone's sidekick or stereotype. Richard Roundtree's performance brought layers to the character. He could be sensual with his body language and intense with his dark, piercing eyes. When Shaft fought, it wasn't just violence for the sake of action. It was a part of the story. He was relentless, but it never felt excessive. For many, he wasn't just a movie character. He was a symbol of pride and possibility.
Where the hell you going, Shaft?
To get laid. Where the hell you going?
The movie was a groundbreaking moment for black cinema, but it also sparked a lot of debate. Some people saw it as empowering for the black community, while others felt it leaned into negative stereotypes. Richard had power and independence, something that many black audiences hadn't seen before in movies. But not everyone agreed about what these films really meant for black audiences.
Great, Zach. But, we're pretty afterwards. You know that?
The movie showed black characters in leading roles for the first time in Hollywood history. These movies gave black audiences someone they could relate to on the big screen. The characters weren't sidekicks or villains, they were heroes. However, critics argued that these movies often included too much violence, over-the-top sexuality, as earlier mentioned, and one-dimensional characters, which could harm how the black community was viewed.
When I was a kid coming up, the only people I had to relate to were athletes. And the few people in television were the butlers, doing the menial jobs, and the tribesmen in the Tarzan movies. I mean, obviously we got tired of that.
Roundtree strongly defended Shaft in the work of its director, Gordon Parks. He once said, "The image kids see of him on the screen is of a black man who is for once a winner." He felt the term blaxploitation was unfair, especially when talking about Parks, a man he deeply respected. According to Roundtree, there was nothing exploitative about the movie. "I've always viewed that as a negative. Exploitation. Who's being exploited?" he said during an interview in 2019. But it gave a lot of people work. It gave a lot of people entry into the business, including a lot of our present-day producers and directors. So in the big picture, I view it as a positive.
As soon as someone came out with a film that put another black person in the front, black people are gonna obviously flock to that. Now, it was very nice being a part of that, but it's even nicer being part of the first television series on television with a black lead in a serious picture, drama, as opposed to a variety comedy type thing.
As Portier and Belafonte paved the way for Roundtree, the interpreter of John Shaft kicked the door that allowed the likes of Danny Glover, Philip Michael Thomas, Denzel Washington, Idris Elba, and Chadwick Boseman, to name a few, to be part of the cultural vernacular, as also allowed disfranchised people to feel as the owners of their emotions, passions, and paths in their daily lives.
Squirrel wouldn't make me sing a song, would it please, Vic? No way, baby.
Cultural critics like Amy Abugo-Ngiri praised the movie for reimagining the detective genre. In the past, detective stories often focused on white characters upholding law and order. But Shaft flipped that narrative. It made viewers question the racial politics of justice in America. Ongiri called it a pure offering of love to black audiences, showing that this film was much more than entertainment. It was a cultural milestone. Despite the criticisms, Shaft achieved global fame. It wasn't just a hit in the US, it influenced movies and characters worldwide. Still, it is the first entry that stands alone, being selected in 2000 for conservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, as it is culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Lucas de Souza Martins, a Brazilian professor and PhD student in the U.S. Cold War history from Temple University, who is also known for his knowledge on media and minorities, stated the following to Big Picture Film Club. "The impact of Richard Roundtree was never restricted to young African Americans only. Shaft showed the movie industry how talented authors from different minorities could expand audiences and therefore generate even more profitable projects. There would never be a black Puerto Rican Spider-Man or an Afro-Latina Miss America, America Chavez, in the 2010 S without Roundtree's pioneerism in the 1970s.
Come back to Los Angeles, and I went to my doctor, and he said, Richard, what now?
But behind the scenes, Roundtree faced a challenge that was tougher than anything his on-screen character could handle: breast cancer. In 1993, Roundtree noticed something unusual while taking a shower during a film shoot in Costa Rica, a small lump on his chest. At first, he didn't think much of it. However, when it didn't go away, he saw a doctor after returning to Los Angeles. What the doctor said shocked him. "You have breast cancer." Most people think breast cancer only happens to women, but that's not true. Men can get it too, although it's rare. Hearing this diagnosis left Roundtree numb. Like many men, he had no idea male breast cancer was even possible.
Maybe 4 or 5 days later, he calls me up and says, "Richard, I need you to come in, we need to talk." And I went in and he's telling me that you have cancer.
Soon after, doctors performed a radical mastectomy, removing part of his chest, including the cancerous tissue. The surgery was tough, but the emotional impact hit even harder when the bandages came off. Seeing the scar made him feel like a part of himself was gone forever. But the fight wasn't over. Roundtree had to go through 6 months of chemotherapy. It was grueling. The treatments caused severe nausea and made it hard to keep food down. He lost weight and felt drained. For a man who had always played strong, fearless characters, it was a humbling and painful experience.
Was there shame over it?
I don't know if it was shame.
Embarrassment?
Embarrassment. Come on. How could I have breast cancer?
Roundtree was terrified that news of his illness might end his career. Hollywood, after all, is a business that values image. He feared producers and directors wouldn't hire him if they thought he was sick or weak. So he kept his cancer a secret. Even when working on shows like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, he found ways to hide the truth. For example, when a scene required him to take off his shirt, he convinced the wardrobe team to let him wear a top instead. Roundtree only told his family and closest friends. For years, he lived with the fear of being exposed, all while undergoing treatments and continuing to work. After battling breast cancer and staying cancer-free for 7 years, Roundtree finally decided to share his story. He realized how important it was to raise awareness, especially since most men don't think they could get breast cancer. By speaking out, he wanted to encourage other men to pay attention to their health. If something doesn't feel right, like a lump on the chest, it's better to see a doctor than to ignore it. Catching cancer early can save lives. Roundtree's honesty about his battle has helped break the stigma around male breast cancer.
He became a superstar in a couple of short years. Now he's on television, and now he's on Omelet, as a matter of fact.
Now back to, after his appearance on Shaft, his journey didn't stop there. Although the 1990s were a tough time for him in Hollywood, Roundtree kept working and found success in other areas like stage plays and television. During the 1990s, some of his movies didn't get much love from audiences or critics, but he never gave up. He turned to the stage, performing in plays that allowed him to showcase his acting skills in front of live audiences. At the same time, he kept popping up on TV. For example, in 1991, he guest starred on Beverly Hills, 90210. In 1995, Roundtree joined the cast of the hit movie Seven, directed by David Fincher. The film was a critical success and reminded people of Roundtree's talent.
This will be the very definition of swift justice.
Then in 1997, he appeared in the comedy George of the Jungle. Around that time, he starred in the TV drama 413 Hope Street, showing his versatility as an actor. He even voiced the main character in the PlayStation game Akuji the Heartless in 1999, proving he could adapt to new entertainment forms. Roundtree once shared a personal truth that hits hard. He talked about how, before being recognized as an actor, he would be followed in department stores, watched closely as if he might steal something. Then, once someone realized who he was, everything changed. People treated him with respect because he was famous. He said, "If I were not the actor who played John Shaft, I would be trailed to the dressing room, monitored or stripped." That's the truth of the matter. Over time, Roundtree did get to show his skills in other projects. He played powerful roles in the TV series Roots, which told the story of African Americans' history, and in the soap opera Generations. These roles showed that he was more than just an action hero. Still, many of his parts were supporting roles, not leading ones. Hollywood wasn't offering a lot of opportunities for older black actors, which made it even harder for Roundtree to break free from typecasting.
But you see, I was a prideful man myself, and you ain't been giving my pride much nourishment. Now you can...
Roundtree had a proud moment in 1996 with the film Once Upon a Time in, When We Were Colored. It told the story of a black family in Mississippi facing racism in the South. This was the first movie that his father, a strict Pentecostal minister, agreed to watch. After seeing it, his father gave him a rare compliment, saying, "Well done, my son." It was a moment Roundtree cherished forever. As he got older, Richard Roundtree's career shifted from leading man to supporting actor. This wasn't because he lacked talent, far from it. Instead, it showed a bigger problem in Hollywood: the lack of good roles for older black actors. This wasn't just about age, it was also about race. People in Hollywood often couldn't see beyond stereotypes, and that limited what actors like Roundtree could do. In the 2000s, Roundtree kept his career alive with diverse roles. He appeared in TV shows like Desperate Housewives and Heroes, and movies like Speed Racer. In 2005, he played a school assistant principal in the film Brick. In the 2010 S, he joined the drama series Being Mary Jane as Gabrielle Union's on-screen father, connecting with new generations of viewers. Roundtree wasn't done yet. In 2019, he returned as John Shaft in the film Shaft, alongside Samuel L. Jackson and Jesse T. Usher, creating a story that connected 3 generations of the Shaft family.
You the one bringing up her being a woman and I don't give a about the agenda. Okay. I'm an equal opportunity woman.
However, the latest version of Shaft didn't sit well with everyone. Many movie critics felt it was offensive. They called it racist, sexist, and homophobic. In other words, they felt it had too much outdated and negative humor, especially about women and LGBTQ people. One critic from The Guardian said that Shaft tried too hard to be macho in a way that doesn't fit today's world. They thought it showed too much toxic masculinity, meaning a type of manliness that is overly aggressive, disrespectful to women, and closed-minded.
No non-violent people in Harlem?
Junior.
She's strong.
Another critic, Katie Walsh, agreed. She said that some of the jokes in the movie, especially the ones aimed at younger, more woke people, were too mean-spirited. She also felt that Jackson's Shaft character pushed old-fashioned ideas of manhood that seemed out of place and offensive today. This included treating women as objects and making jokes that seemed hostile toward LGBTQ people. Critics from the Austin Chronicle and Arizona Republic had similar complaints. They didn't like how Shaft's character is politically incorrect without any shame. In other words, Shaft says and does things that might have been more accepted in the past, but are now considered offensive by today's standards. Some critics tried to see it as a fun, nostalgic look at an old-school hero, but they still felt the humor was outdated and offensive. Interestingly, Kenya Barris, one of the writers behind the 2019 Shaft, is known for his socially conscious TV show, Blackish. This show often tackles important social issues with humor and sensitivity. Yet even with his involvement, the movie still faced backlash from critics. This shows how difficult it can be to bring an old character like Shaft into the modern world without clashing with today's values and standards. He also appeared in the comedy What Men Want and had a recurring role in the TV series Family Reunion. One of his final films was Moving On, 2023, starring Jane Fonda.
Tell me what the you want with me. Please gonna be up here asking why you threw that son of a out the window.
There's an interesting myth about the character Shaft that has been around for years. Some people believe that Shaft was originally supposed to be a white character. This idea comes from filmmaker Melvin Van Peebles. He said that MGM, the movie studio, was planning to cast a white actors like Steve McQueen or Charlton Heston as Shaft. But after Van Peebles' movie Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song became a hit, the studio decided to keep Shaft as a black character. And the director, Gordon Parks, insisted on casting Richard Roundtree, a black actor, for the role. Parks thought Roundtree was perfect for the part. In fact, one writer described Shaft as manhood personified with a very black twist. Some critics think Van Peebles might have exaggerated the story. They believe Shaft was always meant to be black from the start. No matter what the truth is, this myth shows how powerful blaxploitation films were in giving black actors bigger roles. Wesley Morris, a film critic, said Roundtree's Shaft gave black moviegoers something they had never seen before. A black hero who was more than just tough. He was smart, cool, and confident, and he was even able to laugh at himself. This was a new kind of hero for black people on screen. He left a mark that won't be forgotten. Richard Roundtree's personal life was filled with both joy and hardship. He was married twice and had 5 children. His first marriage was to Mary Jane Grant in 1963. They had 2 children together, but divorced in 1973. After that, Roundtree dated actress Kathy Lee Crosby for a while. In 1980, he married Karen M. Cernia, and the couple had 3 children before getting divorced in 1998. While dealing with his family life, Roundtree also faced major health problems. His first marriage ended during a tough time when he was battling breast cancer. This added a lot of emotional stress to his already hard situation. Juggling his family life with his busy career only made things harder for him. In his later years, Roundtree faced another serious challenge: pancreatic cancer. This kind of cancer is known for being very aggressive and hard to treat. The cancer's high mortality rate made his battle even more difficult, and it added another layer of sadness to his health struggles. Unfortunately, it led to his death. On October 24, 2023, Richard Roundtree passed away at the age of 81. His death has left a big impact on many people, including fellow actors Samuel L. Jackson, Gabrielle Union, and others who worked with him or admired his career.
Picture with you? Oh, wife watches you every day.
Sir, you were just in an accident.
Just a quick one.
Gabrielle Union, who worked with Roundtree on the TV show Being Mary Jane, shared a heartfelt message on social media. She remembered him as the coolest man in the room with the best vibes. Union said people would rush over just to talk to him because he had such a great energy. She loved working with him, and it was clear he made a lasting impression on everyone around him.
Gabrielle Union said it all. I am so proud of that girl. She just laid it out and said it all. I can't add to that.
Samuel L. Jackson also paid tribute to his friend and co-star. He shared a photo of himself with Roundtree from their 2019 Shaft movie. Jackson called Roundtree the prototype, the best to ever do it. He said that Shaft, as people know, it will always be Roundtree's creation. He expressed how deeply his passing affected him, saying it left a hole in his heart. Jackson wrote that he could imagine Roundtree walking in heaven with the wind blowing through his coat, adding a special touch to the memory of his friend. Tia Mowry, who also worked with Roundtree on Family Reunion, shared how much she learned from him and how much he meant to her. She remembered the good times they had together and his wisdom, warmth, and light. Mowry ended her message by thanking him for his gifts to the world and sending him peace. Other stars, including Jeffrey Wright and Lonnie Love, also shared their sadness about Roundtree's passing. Wright, who worked with him on the 2000 Shaft movie, called him the OG and a lovely man. Lonnie Love reflected on how Roundtree helped break barriers for black actors in Hollywood. She said he was a role model, showing the world that a black man could be a cool, sexy detective. Love sent her condolences to his family. Richard Roundtree's death has left a big hole in the entertainment world. Many people remember him not only for his talent, but also for his kindness and the positive energy he brought to everyone around him. He will be missed by many, but his work will live on forever.